Hello again, Tara McNamara. Thanks so much for being with me all month here on TCM. It's been so much fun.
It's been wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Our last pair of films deals with the subject of the Gangster's Mall. And the first one we're going to show is the pre-code version from 1933, Midnight Mary, directed by William Wellman, who also did Night Nurse, which we showed earlier. This one with Loretta Young. This one has a really interesting backstory, doesn't it?
When the Hayes office gets this, they called it the biggest problem they had at the time. And that's because it came from an Anita Loos story. She comes up a lot in pre-code movies, too.
She does. She was busy.
Because it was from a story that she'd written called Nora. And it was about a young girl who's growing up in squalor, becomes a petty thief, gets in with gangsters, does holdups, goes to reform school. Her friend Bunny gets pregnant. They burn the school down to escape. Bunny gets an abortion. Nora pays for it by having sex with the doctor. I mean, it goes on and on. Ends with like releasing the vice squads like prostitutes and giving them money. And then the prostitutes go join another brothel. Ends with her rolling out of a car dead,
And they thought
right?
this was a perfect movie for 1933.
Exactly. Yeah. So there was a lot of back and forth on this one. And Irving Thalberg responds back with this, well, I never, the letter, just like never received such a communication before. And then there's a good cop, bad cop thing going on where Jack Warner's saying to the Hayes office, hey, look, I get it. I don't want him to make this movie either, but Irving, what am I going to do? So they finally get him to shelve it for 5 months, and then it comes back under another title, and the Hayes office is like, we see you, we know what you're doing.
Wow. So the finished product is basically this story told in flashback where Loretta Young, who was only 20 years old at the time, gives a terrific performance here, is recounting how her life became this one of ill repute. And what I find fascinating is that she's really an unapologetic criminal, which I think might be more of a hallmark of a pre-code film.
Exactly. Like many of the women in this pre-code era, she didn't have a choice, right? Like she's got to do this. She doesn't have parents. She falls in love with this gangster. He brings her in, and you see these things that the Hayes office didn't want glamorized, right? They didn't want to show these women with furs and fine food. But you see how Mary has, like, what's the other choice? Starving?
It is fascinating to then go back and consider all of the different plot lines from the original Anita Loos story that are basically nowhere to be found in this film.
Right, exactly. You don't really see it, but there's a few hints. You know, Bunny is a character.
Right, yeah.
Bunny gets pregnant, so you can see how it plays out per the Hayes Code.
Right.
Which, by the way, they kind of took their advice, but not totally. We'll talk about that after.
Well, in your role with the Critics' Choice Association, you often bestow upon films the seal of female empowerment in entertainment. And I feel like this is a movie that would be considered for something like that.
Yeah, I think it would. That's because we really see the story from a woman's perspective. You understand why she's making the choices. You're right, she's not apologetic about it. She has sexual agency, and she's just trying to do the right thing. In fact, one of the reviewers for this movie, I would say the female reviewer, said about this movie that Mary is the most noblest of citizens. We really like to illuminate when the female experience is shown, and that's what this does.
All right, Tara, we can talk more about this movie after we watch it, but here it is from 1933, directed by William Wellman, Loretta Young in Midnight Mary.